Question 1. What is the role of the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC? A. To manage real estate taxes. B. To oversee and regulate the real estate profession in Texas. C. To provide financing for real estate projects. D. To handle real estate disputes. Answer: B. To oversee and regulate the real estate profession in Texas. Explanation: The Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC, is responsible for overseeing and regulating the real estate profession in Texas, ensuring compliance with laws and protecting the interests of consumers. Question 2. Define community property in the context of Texas real estate law. A. Property owned by the state. B. Property used for community purposes. C. Property acquired by either spouse during marriage. D. Property jointly owned by married couples. Answer: C. Property acquired by either spouse during marriage. Explanation: In Texas, community property refers to any property acquired by either spouse during the marriage, excluding gifts and inheritances, which are considered separate property. Question 3. What are the key elements required for a real estate contract to be enforceable in Texas? A. Verbal agreement between parties. B. Written agreement with witness signatures. C. Notarization of the contract. D. Written agreement with signatures of all parties involved. Answer: D. Written agreement with signatures of all parties involved. Explanation: For a real estate contract to be enforceable in Texas, it must be in writing and include the signatures of all parties involved in the transaction. Question 4. How does Texas law define homestead, and what protections does it offer? A. A large rural property. B. A primary residence with tax benefits. C. A property with protection from forced sale to satisfy most debts. D. Any property owned and occupied by a family. Answer: C. A property with protection from forced sale to satisfy most debts. Explanation: In Texas, a homestead is defined as the primary residence of a family or a single adult, which is protected from forced sale by creditors to satisfy most debts. Question 5. Describe the implications of a property being in a floodplain in Texas. A. Mandatory relocation of the property. B. Increased property taxes. C. Requirement for flood insurance. D. Restrictions on property development. Answer: C. Requirement for flood insurance. Explanation: Properties located in a floodplain in Texas may be required to have flood insurance, especially if they have a mortgage from a federally regulated or insured lender. Question 6. Scenario: A buyer in Texas purchases a home only to find undisclosed foundation issues. What recourse is available? A. Mandatory repair by the state. B. Legal action against the seller for nondisclosure. C. No recourse available. D. File a claim with the real estate agent. Answer: B. Legal action against the seller for nondisclosure. Explanation: In Texas, if significant foundation issues are undisclosed in a home sale, the buyer may have legal recourse against the seller for failing to disclose material defects. Question 7. What is the purpose of an earnest money deposit in Texas real estate transactions? A. To cover closing costs. B. To serve as the buyer's initial payment. C. To secure the property off the market. D. To demonstrate the buyer's seriousness about the transaction. Answer: D. To demonstrate the buyer's seriousness about the transaction. Explanation: In Texas, an earnest money deposit is made by the buyer to demonstrate their seriousness and intent to complete the real estate transaction. Question 8. Explain the term title insurance and its importance in Texas real estate. A. Insurance covering property damages. B. Insurance protecting against title defects. C. Mandatory state insurance for all properties. D. Insurance for real estate agents. Answer: B. Insurance protecting against title defects. Explanation. Title insurance in Texas is important as it protects both buyers and lenders against any losses due to defects or issues with the property's title, ensuring clear ownership. Question 9. What does the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, entail for real estate transactions? A. It regulates trade practices in other industries, not real estate. B. It protects consumers from false, misleading, and deceptive business practices. C. It covers only new home sales. D. It deals with international real estate trade. Answer. B. It protects consumers from false, misleading, and deceptive business practices. Explanation. The Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, is relevant in real estate transactions as it protects consumers from deceptive, false, or misleading business practices, including those in real estate. Question 10. In Texas, what distinguishes a real estate broker from a sales agent? A. Brokers can only sell commercial properties. B. Sales agents require more education than brokers. C. Brokers are responsible for overseeing sales agents. D. Sales agents are not allowed to conduct transactions. Answer. C. Brokers are responsible for overseeing sales agents. Explanation. In Texas, the primary distinction between a real estate broker and a sales agent is that brokers are licensed to manage their own real estate businesses and oversee sales agents, who must work under a broker. Question 11. Define lion and discuss its significance in Texas property law. A. A government-issued property permit. B. A legal claim or hold on a property as security for a debt or charge. C. A type of property insurance. D. A zoning regulation term. Answer. B. A legal claim or hold on a property as security for a debt or charge. Explanation. In Texas property law, a lion is a legal claim or hold placed on a property as security for a debt or charge, meaning the property can be used to satisfy the debt if necessary. Question 12. How does Texas law regulate dual agency in real estate transactions? A. It's prohibited under all circumstances. B. Allowed with written consent from all parties. C. Only permitted in commercial transactions. D. No specific regulations. Answer. B. Allowed with written consent from all parties. Explanation. Texas law allows dual agency in real estate transactions, but it requires explicit, written consent from all parties involved, ensuring that all parties are aware of and agree to the dual representation. Question 13. Scenario. A Texas homeowner discovers a neighbor's fence extends onto their property. What legal concept is involved, and what actions can they take? A. Eminent domain. They must accept the situation. B. Adverse possession. They can file a lawsuit. C. Encroachment. They can seek removal of the fence. D. Trespassing. They can immediately remove the fence. Answer. C. Encroachment. They can seek removal of the fence. Explanation. The scenario describes an encroachment where a neighbor's fence illegally extends onto another's property. The homeowner can negotiate with the neighbor or seek legal action to have the fence removed or relocated. Question 14. What are the legal responsibilities of a listing agent in Texas? A. To represent the buyer's interests. B. To secure the highest possible price. C. To represent the seller's interests and disclose material facts. D. To ensure property renovations. Answer. C. To represent the seller's interests and disclose material facts. Explanation. In Texas, a listing agent's legal responsibilities include representing the seller's best interests, ensuring fair dealings, and disclosing all material facts about the property to potential buyers. Question 15. Discuss the concept of seller disclosure in Texas real estate law. A. Sellers must disclose their financial status. B. Sellers must provide a detailed property history. C. Sellers are required to disclose known defects and issues. D. No disclosures are required in Texas. Answer C. Sellers are required to disclose known defects and issues. Explanation. Seller disclosure in Texas real estate law mandates that sellers disclose any known defects and issues with the property to potential buyers, ensuring transparency and honesty in the transaction. Question 16. How is agency established in a Texas real estate context? A. Through a verbal agreement. B. Automatically when a buyer contacts an agent. C. Through a written agreement between the agent and client. D. By state assignment. Answer C. Through a written agreement between the agent and client. Explanation. In Texas, agency in real estate is established through a formal written agreement between the agent and their client, outlining the duties and responsibilities of the agent. Question 17. Scenario. A commercial property in Texas is being converted into a residential complex. What zoning considerations must be addressed? A. No zoning considerations are needed. B. The property must be rezoned for residential use. C. Only state approval is required. D. A variance must be obtained for mixed use. Answer. B. The property must be rezoned for residential use. Explanation. Converting a commercial property to a residential complex in Texas typically requires rezoning the property for residential use, involving approval from local zoning authorities. Question 18. What constitutes illegal steering in Texas real estate practice? A. Guiding clients towards certain neighborhoods based on demographics. B. Steering clients towards higher-priced properties. C. Advising clients on mortgage options. D. Directing clients to specific inspectors. Answer. A. Guiding clients towards certain neighborhoods based on demographics. Explanation. Illegal steering in Texas real estate involves guiding clients towards or away from certain neighborhoods based on race, religion, or other protected characteristics, which violates fair housing laws. Question 19. Explain the significance of the Federal Fair Housing Act in Texas. A. It only applies to federal housing projects. B. It prevents property tax discrimination. C. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. D. It regulates housing construction standards. Answer. C. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Explanation. The Federal Fair Housing Act is significant in Texas as it prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on certain protected characteristics, ensuring equal housing opportunities for all. Question 20. Scenario. A Texas property is being sold at auction due to delinquent taxes. What process does this entail? A. Immediate sale without notice. B. Sale by the Texas Real Estate Commission. C. A court-ordered auction after notice to the owner. D. Listing by a real estate agent. Answer. C. A court-ordered auction after notice to the owner. Explanation. In Texas, a property being sold at auction due to delinquent taxes involves a legal process where the property is auctioned off in a court-ordered sale after the owner has been given notice and an opportunity to pay the outstanding taxes. Question 21. What legal actions can a buyer take if a Texas property sale is made with an undisclosed easement? A. No action, as easements are public record. B. Request an immediate price reduction. C. Sue for breach of contract or seek rescission of the sale. D. Apply for an easement removal with the city. Answer. C. Sue for breach of contract or seek rescission of the sale. Explanation. In Texas, if a property is sold with an undisclosed easement, the buyer may have legal grounds to sue for breach of contract or seek rescission of the sale due to the failure to disclose a material fact about the property. Question 22. Define marketable title in the context of Texas real estate transactions. A. A title free of lines and encumbrances. B. The most commonly transferred type of title. C. A title that is fully insured. D. A title with verified property boundaries. Answer. A. A title free of lines and encumbrances. Explanation. Marketable title in Texas real estate refers to a property title that is clear and free from significant lines, disputes, or legal questions that might threaten the buyer's ownership. Question 23. Explain the role of a survey in Texas property sales. A. To determine the property's market value. B. To verify property boundaries and identify any encroachments. C. To assess the property's condition. D. To evaluate zoning compliance. Answer. B. To verify property boundaries and identify any encroachments. Explanation. In Texas, a survey in property sales is crucial for verifying the property's boundaries, ensuring accuracy in legal descriptions, and identifying any potential encroachments or boundary disputes. Question 24. How does Texas law handle property disputes arising from encroachments? A. By automatically granting ownership to the encroacher. B. Through mandatory arbitration. C. By civil litigation to resolve the dispute. D. By a state-appointed surveyor's decision. Answer. C. By civil litigation to resolve the dispute. Explanation. In Texas, property disputes due to encroachments are typically handled through civil litigation, where courts can determine the rightful ownership and necessary remedies, such as removal or compensation. Question 25. What is a 1031 exchange, and how is it utilized in Texas real estate? A. A method for quickly transferring property titles. B. A tax deferral strategy for exchanging investment properties. C. A standardized contract form for real estate transactions. D. A government program for first-time homebuyers. Answer. B. A tax deferral strategy for exchanging investment properties. Explanation. A 1031 exchange, utilized in Texas real estate, is a strategy where investors can defer capital gains taxes by exchanging one investment property for another under specific IRS guidelines. Question 26. Scenario. A tenant in Texas wants to break their lease early. What are the potential consequences and options? A. The lease cannot be broken under Texas law. B. Potential penalties or having to pay the remainder of the lease. C. Automatic forfeiture of the security deposit. D. Mandatory subleasing to a new tenant. Answer. B. Potential penalties or having to pay the remainder of the lease. Explanation. In Texas, breaking a lease early can lead to potential consequences, such as penalties specified in the lease agreement or being responsible for rent payments until the lease term ends or the unit is released. Question 27. In Texas, what are the requirements for a property to qualify as a homestead? A. Being a primary residence only. B. A minimum property size of 10 acres. C. Ownership of the property for at least 5 years. D. Being a primary residence and used for family or individual purposes. Answer. D. Being a primary residence and used for family or individual purposes. Explanation. To qualify as a homestead in Texas, the property must be the primary residence of the owner and used for the purposes of a family or a single adult, providing certain protections and benefits. Question 28. Define procuring cause in the context of Texas real estate brokerage. A. The reason a property's value increases. B. The agent's role in successfully bringing about a sale. C. The cause for contract termination. D. The legal basis for property zoning. Answer. B. The agent's role in successfully bringing about a sale. Explanation. In Texas real estate, procuring cause refers to the efforts of a real estate agent that directly lead to the successful completion of a transaction, establishing their entitlement to a commission. Question 29. How are property taxes assessed and appealed in Texas? A. Based on the purchase price and appealed through the IRS. B. Annually by local appraisal districts and appeals through the Appraisal Review Board. C. By the state government and appealed in state courts. D. Every 5 years and cannot be appealed. Answer: B. Annually by local appraisal districts and appeals through the Appraisal Review Board. Explanation: in Texas, property taxes are assessed annually by local appraisal districts. Property owners can appeal the assessment to the local Appraisal Review Board if they disagree with the valuation. Question 30. What are the legal implications of a mechanic's lien on a property in Texas? A. Immediate foreclosure of the property. B. A legal claim against the property for unpaid construction work. C. Transfer of property ownership to the mechanic. D. Mandatory sale of the property at auction. Answer: B. A legal claim against the property for unpaid construction work. Explanation: a mechanic's lien in Texas represents a legal claim against a property by a contractor, subcontractor, or supplier for unpaid labor or materials provided, potentially leading to foreclosure if the debt is not settled. Question 31. Scenario: a Texas real estate agent is found to have breached their fiduciary duty. What consequences might they face? A. Mandatory additional training. B. Revocation of their real estate license and possible legal action. C. A fine payable to TREC. D. No consequences as long as the breach is rectified. Answer: B. Revocation of their real estate license and possible legal action. Explanation: breaching fiduciary duty in Texas can lead to serious consequences for a real estate agent, including the revocation of their license and potential legal actions, such as lawsuits for damages. Question 32. Describe the Texas Veterans Land Board, VALB, and its role in real estate. A. A board that oversees commercial property sales. B. A body that provides land and home loan benefits to veterans. C. A council that regulates rental properties. D. An organization that manages state-owned lands. Answer: B. A body that provides land and home loan benefits to veterans. Explanation: the Texas Veterans Land Board, VALB, offers various benefits to veterans, including land loans, and home improvement loans, aiding them in acquiring and maintaining real estate. Question 33. What is the significance of right of first refusal in Texas real estate contracts? A. The seller's right to refuse the first offer on a property. B. A tenant's right to refuse a lease renewal. C. The right to purchase or lease a property before it is offered to others. D. A lender's right to refuse a mortgage application. Answer: C. The right to purchase or lease a property before it is offered to others. Explanation: the right of first refusal in Texas real estate contracts is a provision that gives a party the opportunity to buy or lease a property before the owner offers it to other potential buyers or tenants. Question 34. How does Texas law address the issue of lead-based paint in real estate transactions? A. Requires removal before any property sale. B. Mandates disclosure for homes built before 1978. C. No specific laws regarding lead-based paint. D. Requires lead-based paint inspection for all transactions. Answer: B. Mandates disclosure for homes built before 1978. Explanation: Texas law requires sellers to disclose the presence of lead-based paint if the home was built before 1978 in compliance with federal regulations to inform potential buyers of any health risks. Question 35. Explain the concept of dual agency and its legal status in Texas. A. Representing both the buyer and seller in a transaction, prohibited in Texas. B. An illegal practice in all real estate transactions. C. Allowed only in commercial real estate. D. Permitted with written consent from all parties involved. Answer: D. Permitted with written consent from all parties involved. Explanation: dual agency in Texas real estate where an agent represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction, is legal but requires the informed, written consent of all parties to ensure transparency and manage potential conflicts of interest. Question 36. Scenario. A Texas property owner discovers oil on their land. What are their legal rights and limitations? A. They have full rights to exploit the oil without restrictions. B. They must obtain a state permit to extract oil. C. Mineral rights are typically separate from surface rights. D. Oil extraction is not allowed on private properties. Answer. C. Mineral rights are typically separate from surface rights. Explanation. In Texas, discovering oil on one's land involves understanding the separation of mineral rights from surface rights. The property owner may not own the mineral rights, which are often sold or leased separately from the land itself. Question 37. What constitutes illegal steering in Texas real estate, and what are the penalties? A. Advising clients on mortgage lenders, punishable by a fine. B. Directing clients towards or away from certain areas based on protected characteristics, leading to legal penalties. C. Choosing properties for clients, with no specific penalties. D. Steering buyers to new developments, punishable by license revocation. Answer. B. Directing clients towards or away from certain areas based on protected characteristics, leading to legal penalties. Explanation. Illegal steering in Texas real estate is the practice of guiding clients to or away from specific neighborhoods based on race, religion, or other protected characteristics. This practice is a violation of fair housing laws and can lead to legal penalties, including fines and license revocation. Question 38. In Texas, what disclosures are required by law when selling a property? A. Only disclosures about the property's age. B. No disclosures are required. C. Disclosure of any known defects and hazards. D. Full disclosure of the seller's financial situation. Answer. C. Disclosure of any known defects and hazards. Explanation. Texas law requires sellers to disclose any known defects or hazards related to the property. This includes issues with the structure, systems, or any other aspect of the property that might affect its value or usability. Question 39. How is agency established between a Texas real estate agent and a client? A. Automatically when an agent shows a property. B. Through a written agreement like a listing or buyer representation agreement. C. Via verbal agreement only. D. When the client makes an offer on a property. Answer. B. Through a written agreement like a listing or buyer representation agreement. Explanation. In Texas, agency between a real estate agent and a client is formally established through a written agreement, such as a listing agreement for sellers or a buyer representation agreement for buyers, outlining the terms and responsibilities of the relationship. Question 40. Scenario. A property in Texas is advertised with incorrect square footage. What legal issues does this raise? A. No legal issues as square footage is often estimated. B. Potential for misrepresentation or fraud claims. C. Mandatory revaluation of the property. D. Automatic termination of the listing agreement. Answer. B. Potential for misrepresentation or fraud claims. Explanation. Advertising a property in Texas with incorrect square footage can lead to legal issues, such as claims of misrepresentation or fraud, especially if the error is significant and impacts the buyer's decision-making. Question 41. What is the impact of Texas being a community property state on real estate ownership? A. All property is owned by the state. B. Property acquired during marriage is owned equally by both spouses. C. Spouses have no claim to each other's property. D. Community property only applies to commercial real estate. Answer. B. Property acquired during marriage is owned equally by both spouses. Explanation. In Texas, a community property state, any property acquired during the marriage is considered to be owned equally by both spouses, regardless of who purchased it. Question 42. Define subagent in Texas real estate transactions. A. An agent who works for a buyer. B. An agent who works for another agent, representing the same client. C. An agent specializing in subprime mortgages. D. A secondary agent who handles only paperwork. Answer. B. An agent who works for another agent, representing the same client. Explanation. In Texas real estate, a subagent is an agent who works under another agent, representing the same client, often the seller, in a transaction. Question 43. Scenario. A buyer in Texas discovers a historical easement on their newly purchased property. What are their rights and restrictions? A. They can remove the easement immediately. B. They must preserve the easement as per historical guidelines. C. The easement is void upon sale of the property. D. They can renegotiate the easement terms with the city. Answer. B. They must preserve the easement as per historical guidelines. Explanation. In Texas, if a buyer discovers a historical easement on a property, they are typically required to preserve it according to specific historical guidelines and cannot unilaterally alter or remove it. Question 44. In Texas, what are the consequences for a real estate agent who fails to disclose a conflict of interest? A. A formal warning. B. Revocation of license and potential legal action. C. Mandatory ethics training. D. A small fine. Answer. B. Revocation of license and potential legal action. Explanation. In Texas, failing to disclose a conflict of interest can lead to serious consequences for a real estate agent, including the revocation of their license and possible legal action for breach of duty. Question 45. Explain the concept of adverse possession in Texas real estate law. A. The right to possess land after renting for a long period. B. Acquiring title to land through continuous and open occupation. C. The ability to claim land by paying the property taxes. D. Claiming ownership of abandoned property. Answer. B. Acquiring title to land through continuous and open occupation. Explanation. Adverse possession in Texas allows an individual to acquire legal title to land by occupying it continuously and openly for a specific period, typically 10 years, under certain conditions. Question 46. What is the Texas homestead exemption and how does it benefit homeowners? A. Exemption from all property taxes. B. A discount on the purchase price of a home. C. Protection from forced sale under certain circumstances and reduced property taxes. D. Automatic approval for home loans. Answer. C. Protection from forced sale under certain circumstances and reduced property taxes. Explanation. The Texas homestead exemption provides homeowners with protection from forced sale under certain circumstances, like bankruptcy, and offers a reduction in property taxes for their primary residence. Question 47. Scenario. A Texas homeowner is facing foreclosure. What legal protections and options are available to them? A. The right to redeem the property after foreclosure sale. B. They must vacate the property immediately with no options. C. The option to convert the foreclosure to a short sale. D. Only bankruptcy can stop the foreclosure. Answer. A. The right to redeem the property after foreclosure sale. Explanation. In Texas, homeowners facing foreclosure have certain legal protections, including the right to redeem their property for a specific period after a foreclosure sale, giving them a chance to reclaim their home under certain conditions. Question 48. How does Texas law regulate real estate advertising to ensure it is not misleading? A. There are no specific regulations on real estate advertising. B. All advertisements must be approved by TREC. C. Advertising must be truthful, clear, and not misleading. D. Advertising can only be done by licensed brokers. Answer: C. Advertising must be truthful, clear, and not misleading. Explanation: Texas law requires that real estate advertising be truthful, clear, and not misleading. Misrepresentation, deception, or false advertising in real estate can lead to penalties and legal consequences. Question 49. Define equitable title in Texas property transactions. A. The legal ownership of a property. B. The right to obtain full ownership upon meeting certain conditions. C. A title obtained through inheritance. D. Shared title between spouses. Answer: B. The right to obtain full ownership upon meeting certain conditions. Explanation: Equitable title in Texas refers to the interest held by a buyer who has agreed to purchase a property but has not yet completed the transaction. The buyer has the right to obtain full legal title once all the conditions of the sale are met. Question 50. What are the legal responsibilities of a Texas real estate broker in managing escrow accounts? A. Brokers are not allowed to manage escrow accounts. B. Personal use of funds in escrow accounts is permitted. C. Properly accounting for and handling clients' funds. D. Transferring escrow funds to a personal account for safekeeping. Answer: C. Properly accounting for and handling clients' funds. Explanation: In Texas, real estate brokers have a fiduciary responsibility to properly manage escrow accounts. This includes accurately accounting for and handling clients' funds and keeping them separate from personal or business funds. Question 51. Scenario: A commercial building in Texas is found to be non-compliant with ADA regulations. What steps must the owner take to rectify this? A. No action required as ADA compliance is voluntary. B. Apply for an exemption from the ADA. C. Make necessary modifications to comply with ADA standards. D. Pay a fine to avoid making changes. Answer: C. Make necessary modifications to comply with ADA standards. Explanation: If a commercial building in Texas is found to be non-compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA regulations, the owner is required to make necessary modifications to meet ADA accessibility standards. Question 52. In Texas real estate law, what is the difference between a fixture and personal property? A. Fixtures are always considered real property. Personal property is movable. B. There is no difference in Texas law. C. Personal property becomes a fixture after a year. D. Fixtures are considered personal property for tax purposes. Answer: A. Fixtures are always considered real property. Personal property is movable. Explanation: In Texas real estate law, a fixture is an item that is permanently attached to the property and is considered real property. Personal property is movable and not permanently attached to the land or building. Question 53. Explain the purpose of title insurance in Texas real estate transactions. A. To insure the property against damage. B. To protect against claims arising from title defects. C. To cover real estate agent commissions. D. To insure against property tax increases. Answer: B. To protect against claims arising from title defects. Explanation: Title insurance in Texas real estate transactions is designed to protect buyers and lenders against any losses due to defects in the title, such as unknown lines, ownership claims, or discrepancies in the property's history. Question 54. What are the implications of Texas's non-disclosure policy on real estate appraisals? A. Appraisals are not required in Texas. B. Sales prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, affecting comparables. C. Non-disclosure of material property defects is allowed. D. Appraisers have unrestricted access to all property records. Answer: B. Sales prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, affecting comparables. Explanation: Texas's non-disclosure policy means that sales prices of properties are not publicly disclosed, which can impact real estate appraisals as appraisers may not have access to accurate sale price information for comparable properties. Question 55, Scenario. A Texas property owner wants to subdivide their land. What zoning and legal considerations must they address? A. No zoning or legal considerations are necessary. B. Obtaining approval from neighbors. C. Ensuring the subdivision complies with local zoning and land use regulations. D. Only state approval is required. Answer. C. Ensuring the subdivision complies with local zoning and land use regulations. Explanation. When subdividing land in Texas, property owners must ensure that their plans comply with local zoning ordinances and land use regulations. This typically involves seeking approval from local planning or zoning boards. Question 56. How are mineral rights handled in Texas real estate sales? A. Automatically included with the sale of the property. B. Always retained by the state. C. Can be sold or retained separately from the surface rights. D. Not recognized in Texas law. Answer. C. Can be sold or retained separately from the surface rights. Explanation. In Texas, mineral rights can be sold or retained separately from the surface rights of a property. This means that the sale of a piece of land does not automatically include the transfer of mineral rights unless specified. Question 57. What legal considerations are involved in converting a Texas residential property into a rental? A. No legal considerations or requirements. B. Ensuring compliance with local zoning and housing regulations. C. Automatic conversion without any legal process. D. Obtaining permission from all neighbors. Answer. B. Ensuring compliance with local zoning and housing regulations. Explanation. Converting a residential property into a rental in Texas involves legal considerations such as ensuring compliance with local zoning ordinances, housing codes, and possibly obtaining permits or licenses for rental properties. Question 58. Describe the Texas laws governing landlords' right to enter a tenant's property. A. Landlords have unrestricted access. B. Entry allowed only in emergencies without notice. C. Landlords must provide reasonable notice, typically 24 hours, except in emergencies. D. Entry is never allowed under Texas law. Answer. C. Landlords must provide reasonable notice, typically 24 hours, except in emergencies. Explanation. Texas law stipulates that landlords must provide reasonable notice, usually 24 hours, before entering a tenant's property, except in cases of emergency or if it's otherwise stipulated in the lease. Question 59. Scenario. A Texas real estate contract is breached. What remedies are available to the aggrieved party? A. Only monetary damages. B. Rescission of the contract, specific performance, or damages. C. The contract is automatically void. D. Mandatory mediation only. Answer. B. Rescission of the contract, specific performance, or damages. Explanation. In the event of a breach of a real estate contract in Texas, the aggrieved party may seek various remedies such as rescission, cancellation of the contract, specific performance, forcing the completion of the contract as agreed, or monetary damages. Question 60. What is a seller's disclosure notice in Texas, and what must it include? A. A notice including the seller's personal information. B. A document outlining the commission rates. C. A disclosure of known defects and issues with the property. D. A guarantee of the property's condition. Answer. C. A disclosure of known defects and issues with the property. Explanation. In Texas, a seller's disclosure notice is a legally required document in which the seller discloses known defects and issues with the property, such as prior damage, existing problems, and other material facts that could affect the property's value or desirability. Question 61. Explain the role and importance of a closing statement in Texas real estate transactions. A. It's a final sales pitch to the buyer. B. It outlines the final and detailed financial transactions and agreements. C. It's a legal declaration of property abandonment. D. It serves as a formal goodbye between buyer and seller. Answer. B. It outlines the final and detailed financial transactions and agreements. Explanation. In Texas real estate, a closing statement is important as it provides a detailed breakdown of all financial transactions and agreements involved in the transfer of property, including costs incurred by both the buyer and seller. Question 62. What is the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, in Texas, and how does it affect real estate transactions? A. It regulates commercial trade outside of real estate. B. It protects consumers in real estate from false, misleading, or deceptive business practices. C. It only applies to new home builders. D. It governs international real estate investments. Answer. B. It protects consumers in real estate from false, misleading, or deceptive business practices. Explanation. The Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, DTPA, is significant in real estate transactions as it protects consumers from deceptive, misleading, or fraudulent practices, ensuring fairness and honesty in the buying and selling process. Question 63. Scenario. A property in Texas is found to have undisclosed damage from termites after the sale. What actions can the buyer take? A. The buyer must accept the condition as is. B. Sue the seller for non-disclosure and damages. C. Request a termite inspection certificate. D. Apply for state compensation. Answer. B. Sue the seller for non-disclosure and damages. Explanation. In Texas, if a buyer discovers undisclosed termite damage after purchasing a property, they may have legal grounds to sue the seller for non-disclosure and seek damages, as sellers are required to disclose known property defects. Question 64. Define the term chain of title in Texas real estate. A. The sequence of historical transfers of title to a property. B. The legal document proving property ownership. C. The process of transferring property between family members. D. The chain of real estate agents involved in selling a property. Answer. A. The sequence of historical transfers of title to a property. Explanation. The chain of title in Texas real estate refers to the chronological sequence of conveyances or transfers of title associated with a particular property, tracing its ownership history. Question 65. How does Texas law address the issue of undisclosed deaths on a property? A. Deaths must always be disclosed. B. Sellers are only required to disclose deaths due to the property's condition. C. No requirement to disclose deaths unless asked by the buyer. D. Deaths must be disclosed only if they occurred within the last year. Answer. B. Sellers are only required to disclose deaths due to the property's condition. Explanation. In Texas, sellers are not required to disclose deaths that occurred on the property unless the death was related to the condition of the property, such as a structural issue that caused the death. Question 66. What are the specific requirements for a valid power of attorney in a Texas real estate transaction? A. Verbal agreement and witness confirmation. B. Notarization and filing with the county clerk. C. Written and signed by the principal, specifying real estate authority. D. Approval by a real estate attorney. Answer. C. Written and signed by the principal, specifying real estate authority. Explanation. In Texas, a power of attorney used in real estate transactions must be in writing, signed by the principal, and must specifically grant authority to conduct real estate transactions on behalf of the principal. Question 67. Scenario. A Texas property is being sold in a flood zone without proper disclosure. What are the potential legal ramifications? A. The seller may face legal action for non-disclosure. B. No ramifications, as flood zone information is public. C. The buyer must accept the risk of floods. D. Mandatory flood proofing of the property. Answer. A. The seller may face legal action for non-disclosure. Explanation. In Texas, failing to disclose that a property is in a flood zone can lead to legal ramifications for the seller, as sellers are required to disclose material facts that significantly affect the value or desirability of the property. Question 68. In Texas, what constitutes a breach of fiduciary duty by a real estate agent? A. Not advertising a property enough. B. Failing to act in the best interest of their client. C. Selling a property below market value. D. Not holding an open house for a listing. Answer. B. Failing to act in the best interest of their client. Explanation. A breach of fiduciary duty by a real estate agent in Texas occurs when the agent fails to act in the best interests of their client, such as not disclosing conflicts of interest, mishandling client funds, or any actions that compromise the client's position. Question 69. Explain the concept of a homestead exemption and its impact on Texas homeowners. A. Exemption from all state taxes for homeowners. B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. C. Automatic exemption from foreclosure. D. A discount on the purchase of a first home. Answer. B. A reduction in property taxes for the primary residence. Explanation. The homestead exemption in Texas provides homeowners with a reduction in property taxes on their primary residence, helping to lower the tax burden on homeowners and protect their home's value. Question 70. What is a real estate recovery trust account in Texas, and when is it used? A. An account for holding earnest money deposits. B. A fund to cover real estate agents' commissions. C. A fund to reimburse persons harmed by the illegal acts of a licensed real estate professional. D. An account used for property tax collections. Answer. C. A fund to reimburse persons harmed by the illegal acts of a licensed real estate professional. Explanation. The Real Estate Recovery Trust account in Texas is a fund set up to reimburse individuals who suffer financial harm due to the illegal actions of a licensed real estate professional, such as fraud or misrepresentation. Question 71. Scenario. A Texas landlord faces discrimination charges for refusing to rent to a family with children. What laws apply? A. Texas Homestead Act. B. Federal Fair Housing Act. C. Texas Tenants' Right Act. D. Local Rental Ordinance. Answer. B. Federal Fair Housing Act. Explanation. The Federal Fair Housing Act applies in this scenario. This act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, including children under 18, or disability. Question 72. How are water rights managed and allocated in Texas real estate law? A. Based on the first in time, first in right doctrine. B. All water rights are owned by the state. C. Based on the proximity to the water source. D. Through a lottery system. Answer. A. Based on the first in time, first in right doctrine. Explanation. In Texas, water rights are generally managed based on the doctrine of first in time, first in right, which means that those who have legally secured their water rights earlier have priority over those who secure them later. Question 73. Define net listing in Texas real estate and discuss its legality. A. A listing that only nets the agent a fixed fee, legal in Texas. B. A listing where the agent keeps the excess over a set sale price, legal in Texas. C. A listing where the agent's commission is net of expenses, illegal in Texas. D. A listing where the agent keeps the excess over a set sale price, controversial and heavily regulated in Texas. Answer. D. A listing where the agent keeps the excess over a set sale price, controversial and heavily regulated in Texas. Explanation. A net listing in Texas real estate is where the agent agrees to sell a property for a set price, and any amount they receive over this price is kept as their commission. While legal, it is controversial and subject to heavy regulation due to potential conflicts of interest and the risk of unfair pricing. Question 74. What is the purpose of an option fee in Texas real estate contracts? A. To cover the costs of home inspections. B. To give the buyer the exclusive right to purchase the property. C. To compensate the seller for taking the property off the market. D. To secure a fixed purchase price. Answer: C. To compensate the seller for taking the property off the market. Explanation: in Texas, an option fee is paid by the buyer to the seller for the right to terminate the contract within a specified period. It compensates the seller for taking the property off the market during this option period. Question 75. Scenario: a Texas homeowner discovers a neighbor's new fence encroaches on their property. What are their legal options? A. Requesting immediate removal of the fence. B. Seeking a court order for removal or compensation. C. Ignoring the encroachment as it's minor. D. Automatically taking ownership of the encroached land. Answer: B. Seeking a court order for removal or compensation. Explanation: in Texas, if a homeowner discovers a neighbor's fence encroaching on their property, they can seek a court order for its removal or seek compensation. Legal action may be necessary to resolve the encroachment issue. Question 76. How does Texas law define and handle earnest money in property transactions? A. As a non-refundable deposit to the seller. B. A refundable deposit if the deal falls through. C. A deposit demonstrating the buyer's serious intent held in escrow. D. A mandatory fee paid to the real estate agent. Answer: C. A deposit demonstrating the buyer's serious intent held in escrow. Explanation: in Texas real estate transactions, earnest money is a deposit made by the buyer, demonstrating their serious intent to complete the purchase. It is held in an escrow account and typically applied to the purchase price at closing. Question 77. What are the requirements for disclosing a property's energy efficiency in Texas real estate sales? A. No disclosure is required. B. Disclosure is required only for properties over 20 years old. C. Mandatory energy efficiency audit and disclosure. D. Voluntary disclosure by the seller. Answer: A. No disclosure is required. Explanation: in Texas, there are no specific legal requirements for sellers to disclose a property's energy efficiency in real estate transactions, though providing such information can be beneficial for transparency and attracting energy-conscious buyers. Question 78. Explain Texas regulations on dual agency in real estate transactions. A. It's allowed without restrictions. B. It's illegal under all circumstances. C. It's permitted with written consent from all parties. D. It's only allowed in commercial real estate transactions. Answer: C. It's permitted with written consent from all parties. Explanation: dual agency in Texas real estate transactions, where an agent represents both the buyer and seller in the same deal, is permitted but requires written consent from all parties involved to ensure full disclosure and agreement on the dual representation. Question 79. Scenario: a buyer in Texas wants to back out of a real estate contract during the option period. What are the implications? A. The buyer can back out without any penalty. B. Forfeiture of the earnest money deposit. C. Forfeiture of the option fee, but not the earnest money. D. Legal action for breach of contract. Answer: C. Forfeiture of the option fee, but not the earnest money. Explanation: in Texas, if a buyer chooses to back out of a real estate contract during the option period, they typically forfeit the option fee paid for the right to terminate the contract, but get their earnest money deposit back, as long as they comply with the terms of the option period. Question 80. In Texas, what legal protections exist for buyers against misrepresentation in real estate transactions? A. Buyers have no legal protections against misrepresentation. B. The right to sue for damages if material misrepresentations are made. C. Mandatory arbitration in cases of misrepresentation. D. A full refund of the purchase price by the state. Answer: B. The right to sue for damages if material misrepresentations are made. Explanation. In Texas, buyers are protected against misrepresentation in real estate transactions. If a seller or their agent makes material misrepresentations about the property, the buyer has the right to sue for damages resulting from those misrepresentations. Question 81. What are the legal implications of a zoning change in Texas as it pertains to existing businesses? A. Businesses must relocate immediately. B. They may need to apply for a variance or adapt to new zoning regulations. C. There are no implications. Existing businesses are exempt. D. Immediate closure of the business. Answer. B. They may need to apply for a variance or adapt to new zoning regulations. Explanation. When a zoning change occurs in Texas, existing businesses may be affected and might need to apply for a variance to continue operating as before or adapt their operations to comply with the new zoning regulations. Question 82. Define the concept of transferable development rights in Texas real estate. A. The right to transfer property ownership multiple times. B. The ability to transfer property tax rates. C. Rights allowing property development density to be transferred from one area to another. D. The right to transfer a property deed without legal assistance. Answer. C. Rights allowing property development density to be transferred from one area to another. Explanation. Transferable development rights in Texas real estate involve the ability to transfer the right to build a certain amount of density from one area, typically a conservation or low development area, to another, a higher development area, facilitating controlled growth. Question 83. Scenario. A Texas real estate agent is accused of misrepresenting a property's condition. What potential legal consequences do they face? A. Mandatory retraining and a warning. B. Possible revocation of their license and legal action for fraud or negligence. C. A small fine payable to the Texas Real Estate Commission. D. Immediate dismissal from their brokerage. Answer. B. Possible revocation of their license and legal action for fraud or negligence. Explanation. If a Texas real estate agent is found to have misrepresented a property's condition, they could face severe consequences, including the potential revocation of their real estate license and legal action, such as lawsuits for fraud or professional negligence. Question 84. How does Texas law address easements created by necessity? A. They are not recognized in Texas law. B. Created when a property is landlocked and needs access. C. Only created with written agreement between property owners. D. Automatically granted for public utility services. Answer. B. Created when a property is landlocked and needs access. Explanation. In Texas, easements by necessity are established when a property is landlocked and requires access to a public road. These easements are created to ensure that the property owner has the necessary access, even if it means crossing another person's land. Question 85. What constitutes a legal and binding real estate contract in Texas? A. An oral agreement between buyer and seller. B. A handshake agreement with witnesses. C. A written agreement signed by both parties. D. Approval from a real estate attorney. Answer. C. A written agreement signed by both parties. Explanation. For a real estate contract to be legal and binding in Texas, it must be in writing and signed by both the buyer and seller. Oral agreements are generally not enforceable for real estate transactions. Question 86. Scenario. A Texas homeowner discovers an unknown line on their property during a sale. How should this be addressed? A. Ignore the line as it's the buyer's responsibility. B. Negotiate with the buyer to accept the line. C. Resolve the line before completing the sale. D. Transfer the line to another property. Answer. C. Resolve the line before completing the sale. Explanation. In Texas, if a homeowner discovers an unknown line during a property sale, It's essential to resolve the lien, either by paying it off or disputing its validity, before completing the sale to provide a clear title to the buyer. Question 87. Explain the Texas laws regarding the disclosure of natural hazards in real estate transactions. A. No disclosure is required for natural hazards. B. Disclosure is only required for properties in flood zones. C. Sellers must disclose known natural hazards affecting the property. D. Buyers must independently research natural hazards. Answer: C. Sellers must disclose known natural hazards affecting the property. Explanation: Texas law requires sellers to disclose known natural hazards that might affect the property, such as flood risks, to potential buyers. This ensures that buyers are informed about potential risks associated with the property. Question 88. What are the requirements for a Texas real estate agent to qualify as a broker? A. Completion of additional education and passing a broker's exam. B. A recommendation from 2 other brokers. C. At least 10 years of experience as a sales agent. D. Owning at least 3 properties. Answer: A. Completion of additional education and passing a broker's exam. Explanation: To qualify as a real estate broker in Texas, an agent must complete additional education requirements and pass the state's real estate broker exam. This ensures brokers have the necessary knowledge and skills to manage a real estate brokerage. Question 89. Scenario: A buyer in Texas purchases a home only to find significant mold damage afterwards. What are their options? A. The buyer must repair the mold at their own cost. B. Seek damages from the seller if the mold was not disclosed. C. Apply for a state remediation grant. D. Request a mold inspection certification. Answer: B. Seek damages from the seller if the mold was not disclosed. Explanation: In Texas, if a buyer discovers significant mold damage after purchasing a home that was not disclosed by the seller, they may have legal grounds to seek damages or rescind the sale, especially if the seller was aware of and failed to disclose the issue. Question 90. How does Texas law handle disputes over property boundaries? A. Through mandatory mediation. B. By a decision of the local homeowners association. C. By civil litigation or agreement between property owners. D. The state provides an official surveyor to resolve disputes. Answer: C. By civil litigation or agreement between property owners. Explanation: Property boundary disputes in Texas are typically handled through civil litigation in court or by mutual agreement between the property owners. In some cases, a professional survey may be required to determine the correct boundaries. Question 91. What is the Texas Real Estate Consumer Protection Notice, and when must it be provided? A. A notice about consumer rights provided at the time of contract signing. B. A disclosure of the agent's commission rates given at the first meeting. C. A notice informing consumers of their rights and the duties of a real estate agent, displayed prominently in each broker's office. D. A document outlining mortgage protection policies given at closing. Answer: C. A notice informing consumers of their rights and the duties of a real estate agent, displayed prominently in each broker's office. Explanation: The Texas Real Estate Consumer Protection Notice is a document that informs consumers about their rights and the duties and responsibilities of real estate agents and brokers. It is required by law to be displayed prominently in every real estate broker's office. Question 92. Scenario: A Texas real estate broker commingles client funds with personal funds. What are the consequences? A. A warning and mandatory financial management classes. B. License revocation and potential legal action for misappropriation. C. A fine paid to the Texas Real Estate Commission. D. Required to return the funds with interest. Answer: B. License revocation and potential legal action for misappropriation. Explanation: Commingling client funds with personal funds is a serious violation in Texas real estate practice. Consequences can include the revocation of the broker's license and potential legal action for misappropriation or embezzlement. Question 93. Define the term Texas Veterans Housing Assistance Program and its significance in real estate. A. A program that provides housing for homeless veterans. B. A home loan program offering benefits to Texas veterans. C. A rental assistance program for veterans. D. A grant program for veteran-owned real estate businesses. Answer: B. A home loan program offering benefits to Texas veterans. Explanation: the Texas Veterans Housing Assistance Program is a home loan program that provides Texas veterans with benefits like low interest rates and down payment assistance, making homeownership more accessible for those who have served. Question 94. How is professionalism defined and regulated in Texas real estate practice? A. By adhering to state-mandated dress codes. B. Through compliance with the Texas Real Estate License Act and ethical standards. C. By achieving a certain level of sales. D. Professionalism is not regulated in Texas real estate. Answer: B. Through compliance with the Texas Real Estate License Act and ethical standards. Explanation: professionalism in Texas real estate is defined and regulated by adherence to the Texas Real Estate License Act and established ethical standards set by the Texas Real Estate Commission, ensuring agents and brokers conduct business with integrity and competence. Question 95. Scenario: a Texas property sale is complicated by the discovery of an ancient burial ground. What are the implications? A. The property automatically becomes state property. B. The sale can proceed without any implications. C. Potential legal and archaeological considerations must be addressed. D. The property is deemed unsellable. Answer: C. Potential legal and archaeological considerations must be addressed. Explanation: discovering an ancient burial ground on a Texas property can complicate a sale, as it involves legal considerations like property rights and archaeological concerns. It may require involvement from state agencies and compliance with historical preservation laws. Question 96. Explain the role of the Texas Real Estate Commission in regulating real estate education. A. TREC provides all real estate education directly. B. They approve and regulate real estate education providers and courses. C. They only regulate education for brokers, not agents. D. TREC does not regulate real estate education. Answer: B. They approve and regulate real estate education providers and courses. Explanation: the Texas Real Estate Commission, TREC, plays a crucial role in regulating real estate education by approving and overseeing the providers and courses. This ensures that the education received by real estate professionals meets the state's standards. Question 97. What are the legal responsibilities of a property manager in Texas? A. Only to collect rent and manage repairs. B. To manage the property in compliance with state laws and the management agreement. C. Property managers have no legal responsibilities. D. To ensure the highest rental income. Answer: B. To manage the property in compliance with state laws and the management agreement. Explanation: in Texas, property managers have legal responsibilities that include managing the property in accordance with state laws, regulations, and the terms outlined in the property management agreement, ensuring proper care and legal compliance. Question 98. Scenario: a Texas property is sold with an undisclosed right-of-way. What recourse does the new owner have? A. No recourse. Rights of way are always disclosed. B. Request the right-of-way be removed immediately. C. Legal action against the seller for non-disclosure. D. Apply to the state to have the right-of-way voided. Answer: C. Legal action against the seller for non-disclosure. Explanation: in Texas, if a property is sold with an undisclosed right-of-way, the new owner may have legal recourse against the seller for failing to disclose this significant detail, as it can affect the use and value of the property. Question 99. How does Texas law regulate landlord-tenant relationships and rental agreements? A. Through the Texas Landlord and Tenant Act. B. There are no specific regulations. It's based on the lease agreement. C. Only through federal housing laws. D. By requiring all agreements to be reviewed by a court. Answer: A. Through the Texas Landlord and Tenant Act. Explanation: Texas regulates landlord-tenant relationships and rental agreements primarily through the Texas Landlord and Tenant Act. This act outlines various provisions and legal requirements, including those related to lease agreements, tenant rights, and landlord responsibilities. Question 100. What is the significance of the Fair Housing Act in Texas real estate, and how does it affect everyday real estate practices? A. It governs only the architectural design of housing. B. It ensures all real estate transactions are tax-free. C. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. D. It is not applicable in Texas. Answer: C. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Explanation: The Fair Housing Act is a federal law that is significant in Texas real estate as it prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on specific protected classes. It affects everyday real estate practices by ensuring equal opportunity in housing and preventing discriminatory practices.